Hello everyone and welcome back to more F1 Manager. Yesterday we return with round 19 of our Ferrari career mode. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Getting back into F1 Manager once again. If you missed out on the last video that went live last week from Japan, would highly recommend going back and checking out as well. Of course, you know, the sport on the channel at the moment is absolutely insane. At the time of recording this, for those of you that have been sticking around, I'm trying to get head on videos at the moment. We are now incredibly close to 85,000 subscribers. You know, maybe by the time this video has gone live, we'll have hit that goal. But of course, yeah, still trying to smash through 100k by the end of the year. So you can help me get one step closer. That would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, this weekend though, back at COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, of course. Championship-wise, constructors all wrapped up. We got 4 races to go the year. We got a 304-point lead over Red Bull. It has been a dominant year, I think it is safe to say there. So things looking pretty good. Drivers' Championship-wise, though, Charles Leclerc seems to be hitting his stride once again. There 29 points now, the gap between Charles and Carlos Sainz as we head into these final 4 races. And Carlos Sainz is going to have to take a fresh engine this weekend, so there is a little bit more spice and drama as we head towards the US Grand Prix. I don't know why I suddenly forgot where we were heading, of course. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, though, there isn't too many major things that we need to go into at the moment. I'm going to have to bring on a new engine that's going to set us back $1 million. I mean, we've got $88 million currently in the back pocket, so we're not going to worry about that too much. But I am going to quickly, before I forget, make sure we put the old engines into both cars, of course, ready for free practice. But of course, as always as well, you know, a massive thank you to all of you for the continued help and basically just babysitting me through this game. You know, we're still learning a lot at the moment, and then once I'm back from my travels, we're really going to sort of set ourselves up and get into Season 2 of this career mode. Of course, new team, everything like that. I'm still hiding who we're going to be racing with just next, but I'm going to give you guys a poll, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. Of course, we're slowly pacing ourselves through the end of Season 1 of this career mode. But yeah, US Grand Prix, though, I don't think we've got anything else major that we need to look at before we get into this weekend. Well, we're sitting pretty comfortable. We're sitting pretty at the moment. I suppose we better just get into it then. Finally back at COTA in Texas, the Lone Star State once more.
Welcome to the United States Grand Prix. We're in Austin, but there are no wild cowboys on the track this weekend, just some serious horsepower. It's sure to be a race to remember. The Circuit of the Americas has it all. Twists and turns, steep climbs, fast corners, and a power-hungry Sector 2. Quite a headache to balance, even if teams will be looking at maximising downforce overall. With the season nearly concluded, time is running out for the team. Can anyone make a last-minute breakthrough? Can the leading drivers hold on? Only time will tell. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Right, well, here we are then, back at COTA. Oh, dearie me. Oh no, it's going to be a soggy weekend here from the USGP. And so far, some of the only races we've done badly this season have been when there's been rain affecting things. So, I mean, we'll wait and see. Sometimes this game has said there's been moderate rain and it's still been dry over the course of the weekend. Of course, Suzuka, we saw a crazy race. Charles Leclerc took 4 pit stops, Carlos Sainz took 6, and they didn't cross the line, but we'll forget about that for now as we get into it this weekend. But yeah, we'll try out some different setups. Like I said, as always, we'll try and tweak a few things, and let's get into it then. As well, you have also told me that what I should be doing is trying to make sure that we are telling the drivers to avoid the curbs in free practice sessions, because apparently that will then mean that... Okay, I've done that a whole lot more than I thought I had. That will then apparently mean that they are better at not damaging the car. Sorry, I'm trying to do 3 different things at once. So we'll give that a try as well. That's the setup I'm going to run on Charles' car. We'll bring him down to about 12 laps. And we'll try some different concepts on Sainz's, and we'll get out there.
Rain
oh,
is
no.
Imminent.
Ah! This does not fill me with confidence. Genuinely, we're only 15 minutes into free practice, and I kind of already forgot about the rain. As Sainz and Leclerc have decided this is now a battle on track in FP1, I don't think it's going to help either of them with tyre wear, but they're still side by side as we head in through Sector 3, so not too sure how they're managing this one between them, but fair play. I guess this is Ferrari's flying formation through the last few weekends of the year, and in free practice, you know, just kind of I guess it's kind of giving the middle finger to every other team, isn't it? That we can afford to do just random stuff like this in free practice. But rain is imminent. Let's try and get these first runs finished before it arrives. Oh, no. Oh, no. Did they just crash into each other? I saw a piece fly off one of the cars. Leclerc crashed into him. Oh, dearie me. Lads, come on. Right, we're going to ignore that for now. But I think that's what... Oh, here we go. We can have a look at it as well. Did Leclerc just run into the side of Carlos Sainz as he was heading down the hill? Still seems good. Still seems good. Ah, dearie me. I mean, luckily it's free practice 1 and all the championships wrapped up, but not ideal from our drivers. Oh, okay, he's got a 0-second time penalty. We're going to ignore that as well, but our drivers are crashing into each other 15 minutes into a Formula 1 weekend. This is going to be a disaster. Ah, right. So, I'll be honest, quite a few of you yelled at me in the comments in the last video about how I hadn't clicked track when we were looking at more of the data, so we should now get a good idea as to what we need to do. There's a lot of things here, and I'm not sure what a lot of them are saying, but yeah, at least we now know what's going to happen as the rain continues. Well, it's only going to pour for a bit longer, and then it's going to dry up again before the end of the session. But there we go. This was the data that I was looking for. Anything over 4mm is full wets, 1 to 4 is inters, and then less than 1 is dries still. So we know that now. Thank you all, because there is a 0% chance I would have found that otherwise. Well, we're going to send both cars back out there to try and brave it out. We won't get some particularly reliable data about dry weather running, but yeah, we should get some good inclinations as to where the car's going to be, if it does, of course, rain during the race. Oh, Latifi's gone. This is something we never see in Formula 1. Let's have a look what Latifi's managed. He's on dry tyre. Oh, sorry, wet tyres on a dry track, and that is a scary, scary shunt. For poor Nicholas Latifi here, just simming our way through the final 20 minutes or so, trying to get more and more data about the setup on both cars, but we are slowly but surely working our way around COTA. Or maybe we're not. Leclerc's still not happy with the car setup he's got on at the moment, so he's struggling a lot. We'll bring him in, and we'll try and shake things up once more. Oh, there we go. Sainz feeling a bit happier with his car, so we might try and take some of those parts over, or at least the setup config, and give it to Charles Leclerc. But yeah, Sainz feeling a whole lot more happier then, so we can bring him back in. We might just be able to get a couple more laps of running. Well, there we go then, the end of a rather interesting free practice session here from the USGP again. Oh, look at that, both Red Bulls with some grid penalties this weekend, as well as a handful of other cars. So, yeah, we might not see Sainz right at the back of the field. We have got to make sure, though. I realised with 2 minutes left of the session that we never actually gave Leclerc a new front wing, so that might explain why he was a bit further back. But yeah, let's get into qualifying then here from COTA. We'll bolt back in the fresh engines, we'll give Leclerc a new front wing, and fingers crossed we're still going to have some pace. Formula 1 is finally back in 2022, and now you can rep your favourite teams. Of course, using the F1 store, every team now has merch lineups available, whether you're an Aston Martin fan, a Williams fan, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, the choice is completely up to you. But yeah, check out the F1 merch store down below for all the official releases from all of the teams. And of course, as always, if you use our links as well, you massively help support the channel. So yeah, give it a look and see if there's anything you like.
Thank you for joining us as we proceed to qualifying and the fight for pole begins. While everyone will be talking about the battle for pole, there is still so much to be contested here today. Qualifying presents a tremendous opportunity for all 10 constructors and their drivers, as a strong performance now will put them in good stead for tomorrow's race. You're going to want to join us for this, folks, so fasten your seatbelts.
Well, here we are then, end of free practice, and Max Verstappen still seem to only just have the pace there. But yeah, like I said, we'll bolt in the fresh engines back on both of our cars before we head out. Of course, as always, we'll just jump straight over into Q3. But yeah, fingers crossed we can still try and get yet another pole position this year. We're locking them out pretty often. Will it be Sainz or will it be Leclerc? Right, well, here we are then, COTA US Grand Prix time. Of course, we know Carlos Sainz has got some grid penalties, but will he still be able to go quicker than his teammate Charles Leclerc? The other thing we've got to be careful about is actually Carlos Sainz there starting just to damage the ERS components on the second Ferrari car, so we might have to try and change those over at some point over the next couple of weekends. I mean, Leclerc isn't far away from it either. You can see his is just floating a couple of % higher, so might be that next time out in Mexico City we put fresh ERS battery pack into both of the cars there. As we head down through the S's though for this first lap here with Charles Leclerc. Of course, the sun setting at the US Grand Prix. Hate it on the F1 22 game. Of course, you get out onto the back straight and you're just blasted with sunlight here. But Charles Leclerc tidily navigates his way through the first sector. As always, we'll try and compare sector times between our two cars. Leclerc there 25.0 and Carlos Sainz 25.0, so barely anything between them at the end of sector 1. I mean, theoretically, Sainz should have a minor advantage, of course, with the fresh engine, although I might put the new battery pack in his car this weekend, of course, because if he's going to be starting at the back anyway, we may as well just go for it. But Verstappen sets the benchmark then on a 1:33.2 as Kevin Magnussen 1.3 seconds away from that time as he heads down around the final couple of corners here. Hamilton slots in the middle there, 8/10 away though from the Red Bull. Is probably a bit disappointing, and George Russell all but an entire second away from the pole man currently. I mean, neither of our cars setting blistering times either. They're 37.9, 38.1. So Max Verstappen then looking quite feisty as we come round towards the final couple of corners of our first Q3 run. I have put both drivers out on a scrub set of tyres though, so that might be what's making the difference here. As out of the final corner, Charles Leclerc is going to come across the line. That is going to put him up into P3 there, 4/10 away, whereas Sainz is going to be a couple of tenths away from that. Going to be around the same time as Pierre Gasly up on the second row of the grid provisionally. Where is Sainz going to slot in comparison? P7 for Carlos Sainz there. That is disappointing at the end of the first runs. But like I said, both drivers on a set of scrub tyres. We're going to bolt on some fresh ones and we'll go out for our last-ditch runs. And I suppose we better focus on Charles Leclerc at the end of qualifying here at COTA, because of course Sainz will be starting outside of the front group anyway, but we'll just monitor the gaps that Carlos Sainz can do there. Not often have we been a long way away at the end of the first runs here in Q3, but we have always recovered it back to put the car on the front row of the grid there. Hamilton, of course, the only other car not to start from pole position this year, back at Singapore a couple of weekends ago there, but nice and tidy through the first turn from Charles Leclerc. Like I say, he's going to have more and more grip than he's seen at any other point so far during Q3 here as he weaves his way through the lefts and the rights there of Sector 1, of course, inspired by the Silverstone circuit. Out of the first sector, he is purple. So here we go then. Both of our cars have still got the pace here. We haven't suddenly fallen off this weekend out of nowhere there. Nice and tidy as he heads down the hill there, plunges down and looks towards the hairpin, towards the midway stage of the circuit. Of course, needs to get a good run out of here as Carlos Sainz once again improving as well. But look at that, the sunlight, it's blinding. Barely I can see where Charles Leclerc is trying to drive there, but he does head up the back straight there, of course, very, very bumpy, both on F1 Manager and in real life there, as I mean, there we go. Both of our cars improving there, but Leclerc still a 10th up on his teammate here as he now threads the needle nice and tidy at the end of that big braking zone there, now down in towards Sector 3. Of course, a brilliant opportunity in the race to try and do switchbacks on other drivers here. We've often seen cars go side by side there, but you can see Gasly stays P4, Bottas stays in P6 at the moment. Will Charles Leclerc be able to find the pace and put the car on pole there? He's purple in Sector 1, he's purple in Sector 2. Sergio Perez will not improve and he will stay in P2. I don't care, Bono. Why on earth do you think I care about that? As we head round the final corner, Charles Leclerc, is he going to be able to put this Ferrari back on pole position once again, up towards the line, watching the times? Yes, he does. By a 10th of a second there. He goes quicker than Max Verstappen there. Again, I don't care about refueling. As Carlos Sainz there, where is he going to be able to put the car provisionally on the grid there? He's currently a second away from Charles Leclerc. Will it be P2? Only P4. Gutted for Carlos Sainz there at the end of running. And I mean, Max Verstappen is still technically out there at the moment, but I don't think he's pushing. Yeah, Max Verstappen definitely not pushing there. So Charles Leclerc has locked it up. He will be on pole position for the US Grand Prix there, but Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, all with penalties. I think we might see Leclerc set off into the sunset. We go then, official confirmation. I mean, look at that. It is Leclerc and then Hamilton on the grid there. 8.5 tenths between them. Only, what, 5 cars, sorry, inside the top 10 and not taking grid penalties here. But like I said, Carlos Sainz, after struggling anyway, we may as well bolt a fresh ERS battery pack to the back of the second Ferrari car here. Charles Leclerc, though, just really did find the pace towards the end there. Not too sure why everyone fell off a second from their Q2 times, but we'll ignore that one for sensible reasons alone. Let's get into it, though. US Grand Prix time here from COTA. Can Leclerc lead from the front? This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Tension continues to build here as race day begins.
These past few days, Ferrari have been absolutely thrilling their fans. Now let's see if they can make the Tifosi proud by capitalizing on that grid position. This weekend, Red Bull displayed real promise during qualifying, but will they fulfill that potential by the time they reach the checkered flag? And the weather is sunny here today, apart from a few clouds. Let's hope they remain scattered on the horizon.
And it goes without saying that a lot can happen over the course of 56 laps. So prepare yourselves for all the action of the United States Grand Prix.
Right, well, here we are then looking towards the US Grand Prix, and it seems like it's going to be dry, at least for the start of this one. So we'll wait and see as to how it goes, but it is not going to stay dry for very long then. So that is very interesting here in the US Grand Prix. We may as well bolt on a set of soft compound tyres for Charles Leclerc to just try and use early on in this race. But changeable conditions can often lead to some crazy races here. We'll do the same thing with Carlos. Actually, no, we'll try something slightly different with Carlos, and we'll just make him push hard early on in the Grand Prix there. But yeah, like I said, we're going to bolt a fresh ERS battery pack to Carlos Sainz's car there. So, I mean, he's starting pretty much at the back of the field anyway, so we may as well do it now rather than next weekend there. But how will the rain affect things? Here today at the US Grand Prix, we'll put extra fuel in both cars to make sure we don't let Sainz run out again on the final lap of the GP. But yeah, long race ahead of us, 56 laps here at COTA. Can we keep it clean and tidy? How are these two drivers going to get on?
Now we should have good weather for the race, and that will be welcome news for the teams. And there's Charles Leclerc. They're in P1. Let's see if they can take advantage of that position. And further back, there's Sainz. Slower than most yesterday, so today they'll be starting from the bottom half of the grid. Everything's been building to this. Here we go. It's the United States Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
Well, there we go then. Charles Leclerc, not the best start in the world there, as Lewis Hamilton is going to try and drag race him up in towards someone there. Of course, Hamilton will have the inside line, but swooping around the outside there. Charles Leclerc absolutely having none of that at the start of this US Grand Prix. Sainz starting down in P17. Going to have to try and monitor him early on in this Grand Prix. Make sure he makes it through the gaggle of cars as best as possible here. But yeah, I mean, Sainz does have to be quite aggressive early on in this race here. He's got a lot of work to do to try and pick up places that, of course, he's lost out due to qualifying. I mean, today, sensibly, P2 is really what Sainz can hope for. But back at Singapore, remember, just a couple of weekends ago when Leclerc took engine penalties, he still was able to walk away with the race victory here, and you never know what might happen with the rain there. But I think it's pretty clear for Charles Leclerc early on. He's just got to try and pull out that gap ahead of Lewis Hamilton there, as I had forgot he's on an old set of tyres for the start of this Grand Prix, so we do have to be a little bit careful. Oh, no, wrong car. I don't want that car pushing too much early on, sorry. I wanted to do that to Sainz. And I guess we've wasted an opportunity now, as here comes Carlos Sainz, though. Still trying to look up the inside of one of the Williams cars. Down in towards the end of Sector 2. There, Nicholas Latifi. He's been mugged. You never see it happen in Formula 1. Latifi has been overtaken. But he's coming back at Sainz. No, he's not. Thank the Lord for that one. I did not want to see Latifi overtaking one of our cars here as we head our way through Sector 3 there. But yes, Sainz, there we go, confirmed that he has made up at least one place off the start of this Grand Prix. Like I said, we're probably going to have to micromanage Sainz a lot early on in this race there. But Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton bolting away from George Russell behind them. In terms of tyres, Kevin Magnussen could be in quite a good, strong position early on in this race there. He's starting on the mediums, the same as Verstappen, Alonso and Sergio Perez. So yeah, we could see Kevin Magnussen, of course, if the soft tyres can't make it to the pit window there, we could see K-Mag take the lead of the Grand Prix. But already, you know, the team talking about the wet period there. So that is, of course, around lap 10. So we're meant to see the track kind of fall off. And that's, of course, yeah, where we're going to see track grip really start to dip. And it's basically going to stay that way for the rest of the afternoon. There is so much data on this game. I probably should look at what we're doing. But yeah, Leclerc still leads the way ahead of Hamilton then. All of them on some pretty worn-out tyres. As Carlos Sainz there now trying to apply pressure to Sir Lancelot as we head down the hill once again. I'll just flick him up into overtake mode here as Carlos Sainz trying to look around the outside of Lance Stroll as he heads down through the hairpin. Surely he's going to have the power, though, to try and get past him. Of course, we've got the new battery pack in the car. They're giving him all the ponies he could ever need in that second Ferrari car there. As you can see right now in the wheel tracks of Lance Stroll. Pulls out of the slipstream. Of course, no DRS still early on in the Grand Prix, but surely this was a done deal for Carlos Sainz there. To the inside of Lance Stroll and now up into P15 of the race there. We've got someone's locked up somewhere around the order, so I'm not too sure who that is. But Sainz hasn't gained a place from it, so I'm not going to worry too much early on, as there we go. Confirmation there, Stroll has moved past. We can see it on our screens, Crofty, as Perez locked up down at turn 12, but he still seems to be pretty much where he was. Oh, Sainz thinking about it up the inside of Sebastian Vettel, of course, the man he replaced at Ferrari. That got a little bit close for my heart. That got a little bit close for comfort there, Carlos. Just be a bit careful when you're trying to go for the moves here. As you can see, opening up the DRS once more there, trying to make sure we're bringing him back into overtake when we need it there, as Verstappen and Perez both trying to make moves at the moment. But Sebastian Vettel, again, just sitting in the way of Carlos Sainz. See, we have got to be patient early on in this race. You know, we have certainly got a car that's a lot quicker than these guys. It is just about how bad the rain is going to be and what tyres we want to bolt on. Carlos Sainz there to the outside of Sebastian Vettel through the final corner. Go on, Carlos. Love to see him trying to make moves there at the final turn. Seb will once again, though, of course, get the DRS, and it looks like Sainz just couldn't quite put the power down at the final corner. We've got Haskar now, suddenly Mick Schumacher in the way as we head back up in towards turn 1. And will Sainz be able to move? No, he will not there. A lot of failed overtakes coming in from Carlos Sainz at the moment. But again, there is a long old way to go. Oh, here we go. Sainz up the inside of Mick Schumacher there. He might try and make a move up the inside of Sebastian Vettel as well. Sainz now finally starting to get his elbows out in this Grand Prix. And will Seb have the DRS off of the McLaren in front? No, he will not there. A bit of a dangerous weave from Sebastian. We've got Ferrari's past, Ferrari's present, and maybe even Ferrari's future all side by side there. But two overtakes in two corners. Carlos Sainz there up at a P13 in the Grand Prix. Mick Schumacher stays 14th and Sebastian Vettel loses out big style in the end there, down into P15 of the Grand Prix there. Next up, though, for us will be Daniel Ricciardo, was at the front of the field. Charles Leclerc there has opened up a 2-second lead over Hamilton, so he is just kind of waving goodbye, doing the Harry Potter meme. So here we go then, surely Daniel Ricciardo going to have nothing he can do to defend himself as we head out of the final corner here. Carlos Sainz round the outside with the DRS, and that's going to be a done deal back in towards turn 1 there. Can King of the Dive Bombs do anything? No, he certainly cannot. P12 now of the Grand Prix, so Sainz is getting into the groove, I feel. So here we go. We've got Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda even and Lando Norris there going side by side. Will Sainz be able to follow Tsunoda through as we get back in towards turn 1? No, he's just going to sit back again. Sainz is bizarre on this game. I mean, he's pulled off the wildest overtake I've seen still. If you remember all the way back to Saudi Arabia. Now he might do it again as we head in towards the S's on lap 6 of this race there, side by side with Lando Norris. Sainz is bizarre. He'll go for that, but he won't dive in at turn 1. Oh, I mean, he's, like I said, he's a bizarre driver, but he's making moves. As Verstappen now up in a P2 of the Grand Prix, we might have to monitor the Dutchman's progress today. But now, surely Sainz going to be able to make a move work on young Yuki as well, as we head out onto the back straight here. Sonoda, the last car that Sainz needs to overtake before he gets back into the points. Of course, no DRS as well for little Yuki. Surely this one, like I said, it's going to be a done deal once more. And I mean, Sainz is making pretty light work of a lot of these midfielders, and back up then into P10 of the race he goes. We'll just bring him back down, but Verstappen, no, that's Verstappen and Hamilton then, still duking it out. Leclerc has still got to keep pushing away from those two, as the rain is not far away. Oh no, starting lap 10 though, starting lap 9 even, sorry I should say, Max Verstappen is fast at the moment. It really doesn't look like the soft tyres have worked out for Charles Leclerc or Lewis Hamilton, but yeah, Leclerc's just got to keep going for it. The rain is imminent, so he's going to bolt on a set of intermediates over the next few laps, but it's just a case of trying to hang on at the moment ahead of the Dutchman. And there we go, pretty much immediately. We are going to confirm that it is starting to rain here, so we're going to be quite aggressive and box Leclerc then at the end of this lap. Hope the rain, I mean, it is going to fall quite a lot over the next few, so I think it might be worth even trying to bring Sainz in at the same time here. Luckily, we've still got a lot of fresh sets of tyres ready for these intermediate conditions, but I mean, it's worth doing it now rather than in one lap from now. As you can just see there, Verstappen to the inside of Charles Leclerc there, he barges him out. So Verstappen still with a lot more grip on those medium tyres there, and Verstappen will take the lead of the Grand Prix there. Will it just get wet enough to go pretty much straight over onto a set of full wet tyres? No, surely not just yet. But Verstappen then into the lead of the US Grand Prix here. It's been a while since we've seen those Red Bulls really been able to fight us, but it looks like Verstappen is back this weekend, at least in the early stages here. Where is Carlos Sainz? He's still sat just as everyone trying to crawl around the final couple of corners here. And I mean, the track is getting very, very wet very, very quickly here. Verstappen, of course, into the pit lane. I'm going to gamble Sainz. I'm going to box him onto a set of full wets instead here and see if the rain does keep falling as much as it is there. We may as well try and see if we can bump him up the order here. But here comes Charles Leclerc into the pit lane. What tyres has Verstappen gone on to? Verstappen is on... Are those dries? No, they're full wets. Oh, no. So everyone then might be going on to full wet tyres in this Grand Prix. Kevin Magnussen hasn't got to his box yet. Sergio Perez is staying out there, but Leclerc now is going to be on the wrong tyres in comparison to Verstappen, so I'm guessing they think it is going to rain a whole lot more incredibly quickly here. So at least we've made the right call with Carlos Sainz, but I might just have screwed him there. As you can see, Max Verstappen getting held up behind Sergio Perez. What is it with late on races this year and trying to deliver carnage here? But Leclerc might just have to box again pretty much immediately in this race. Will he get held up behind Sergio Perez as well here? As you can see, Sergio has just got no grip at the moment there, of course, on those dry tyres. And Sainz, I mean, Sainz, what's he doing? He's up to 8th place then of the Grand Prix, but I mean, he's getting very, very close to that 4mm threshold. But the rain is meant to just stay a bit damp over the next few laps here, so I might have to leave Leclerc out as he can't get past... Why can't you get past Perez? He's on dry tyres on a wet track. He's just stopped.
Think about left lifting coast.
I apologise for the squeaky voice, but that is ridiculous. It's giving Verstappen such a big lead. Why isn't he moving past him? Kevin Magnussen's going to... Oh, because he hasn't got the tyre grip, isn't it? This is a disaster. Surely he's still going to have way more grip than Sergio Perez here. But look at this, Kevin Magnussen's probably going to get past both of them. What is going on here at COTA? No one can move past Sergio Perez for whatever reason, and we're just causing a train in this Grand Prix then. Look at this, no one is prepared to make the move, and it's just giving Verstappen's pulled out like 15 seconds in half a lap, as everyone's just sat having a picnic. I mean, this has got to be the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen on F1 Manager here. No one is doing anything. They're all just sitting behind Sergio Perez because no one's brave enough to make an overtake here. Will Kevin Magnussen be able to try and have a sniff up the inside through the final couple of corners there? Now he's finally going for it. They're almost 3 wide on the exit the Turkey section, and there we go. Charles Leclerc has dropped down a couple of places because of all that going on. And now Perez, of course, gets out of the way. Kevin Magnussen is up into P2 of the Grand Prix for Haas, of course, their home GP this weekend. But Perez has been screwed. I've accidentally screwed Charles Leclerc as well here. Sainz now is looking pretty racy still on those full wets. But will it just be full wets to the end of the Grand Prix there? Here comes Charles Leclerc heading back out of the pit lane, and now Sainz, I mean, he's got to try and make moves happen here as best as possible because he has been given a golden opportunity. But Max Verstappen, 11 laps into the US Grand Prix, has got a 21-second lead here as Leclerc's going to come out in this gaggle of cars towards the rear of the field. This has been an unmitigated disaster. And I'm just going to try and make sure then that Carlos Sainz gets back up into P2 of the Grand Prix here, but I cannot believe how badly this has gone there. Everyone trying to look for moves on each other as Sainz there has a look towards the inside of Hamilton off the corner, but of course no one now with the DRS is going to make these things even more difficult. But here comes Carlos Sainz though. We know how quick this Ferrari car can be on F1 Manager to the inside of Lewis Hamilton. Will he just be able to try and send it up the inside, down in towards Sector 3? No, maybe, kind of no. He will sit back for now. So here we go. Hamilton trying to have a look for a move on, I think it's Pierre Gasly just in front of him. So is Hamilton then going to be vulnerable off the corner? I'm going to get Sainz into full attack mode as we head back up towards turn 1 there. Of course, probably one of the best corners to try and go for a move around this circuit. Will Sainz go for it again? No. Sainz just sitting back at the moment. He's got to find a way through. He has to, surely. Again, though, Sainz just using so much battery to try and make a move work on Lewis Hamilton at the moment. We're going to put him up into overtake mode. Come on, Carlos Sainz. You have to try and start committing to these moves there. It's to the inside of Lewis Hamilton this time round. Surely this one's a done deal as he heads into the braking zone there. He's just going to hopefully squeeze Hamilton out on corner exit. And there we go, Charles Leclerc. He's still side by side with Lewis, though, on the exit of the corner. Come on, Sainz. This is getting frustrating. Honestly, I don't get how someone can be a Formula 1 team manager in times like this. But Sainz now up the inside of Hamilton, he'll go. He has pulled off the move. He's got Pierre Gasly, like I said, just in front still, as well as Esteban Ocon. Kevin Magnussen a couple of seconds clear, but everyone is losing so much time to Max Verstappen at the front of this field. Ooh, what on earth's going on out of the final corner? Gasly there stuck in the wheel tracks. I mean, yeah, Sainz now has got no battery, so I'm going to have to sit him back for a couple of laps. And then we'll... I mean, we've got to micromanage Charles Leclerc as well here, as he might try and look around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo through the final corner. Not quite that time round, but we'll put him back into overtake mode as we head back up towards turn 1 here. Can Charles Leclerc make the move a whole lot simpler than his teammate has been able to over the last few laps? The answer to that is no, apparently. This is getting frustrating. There we go. As soon as I start looking back at Carlos Sainz there, here comes Leclerc up the inside of Danny Rick. So they are pulling off a few moves here and there, but it is slow and steady progress at the moment, and I want big results today still. Don't know why we're too worried about those big results, but I am. Oh! Why is Verstappen boxing again? Verstappen and Kevin Magnussen both into the pit lane here. So is Pierre Gasly. So Carlos Sainz is going to be let free once more. Are they all going on to Inters? It's just meant to rain again more, though, over the next couple of laps, isn't it, surely? So, I mean, it's not... Will it make sense? No, it can't make sense to bolt on a set of Inters again, because it's just going to get wetter once more. We're going to have to keep monitoring this, but, I mean, Verstappen has come out in the lead of the race. Do I split the strategies again? No, I think we just stay out there. No one really knows what to do currently, but we're staying out on these full wets as Leclerc then making up a few places. That is handy. Oh, and now Sainz is losing time again to Max Verstappen at the front of the field. I mean, they're saying it's a 35% chance, but I mean, look at that. It is getting heavier, lighter, heavier, heavier, heavier. I think we've just got to stick out here and try and just make sure we lose as little time as possible. We have to claim track position, but both our cars are struggling at the moment. As Charles Leclerc, I'm going to tell him just to try and... Yeah, no, I don't really want to tell him to hold up the cars behind, because he might lose more time to the cars in front here. But we are now praying that more rain arrives again. This is just ridiculous here at COTA. It's just not getting any lighter as Charles Leclerc sinking like a stone at the moment, but the rain, I mean, surely. No, the track water keeps dipping. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong data sets all the time. Right, we've got to box both cars. I think, is it, I mean, it's only, what, about another 5 laps, and then it's meant to get a whole lot worse again. This is just impossible to call. We'll need Inters again here, and then full wets once more. This is impossible, Codemasters. No, it's not even Codemasters, it's Frontier. Oh, this is falling apart. Let's box both cars, the end of this lap. I'm having a mental breakdown, I think. And we're going to bring them both out onto a set of Inters to hopefully just see them through this next period. And what I'm looking at... No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, Matt. Keep them out. Abandon those stops. Abandon those pit stops. We're just going to hang out here. No, I do not want to retire the car. We're going to cancel that pit stop. Both of them are going to lose a couple more places, but it's not worth boxing now, just to box again in about another 3 laps. I'm going to hang out there. We're going to see how many places we've lost. Oh, safety car. We've been given a lifeline. Safety car has been deployed. Lando Norris is locked up down at turn 19, as you can just see everyone else having issues in front, but Lando Norris, luckily to avoid the gravel trap, but this is going to allow everyone to bunch back up in this Grand Prix. What do I do? I mean, it's meant to apparently rain a lot now over the next few laps. Oh, I hate this. I'm going to have to just box them onto Inters, aren't I? And then, so at least then we're on the same page as everyone else. But we've lost out so much throughout all of this. It is a disastrous Grand Prix so far. Oh, Esteban Ocon out of the Grand Prix. What on earth is going on here at COTA? I mean, this is under safety car, isn't it, surely? Is Ocon going to hit the back of Bottas? No, he's going to avoid him, but skates straight off into the wall there, and Ocon out of the US Grand Prix. So, I mean, we're just kind of trying to work out what on earth's happening here. The track was getting drier again. It had briefly gone to dry conditions, but now we're back on the Inters. And the rain's just getting heavier once more. What can I do? Leclerc's in last. Sainz is in P15. This is just a nightmare. I mean, this is just chaos in the US Grand Prix. We're under safety car. It's gone from dry conditions now to fully wet again. And now might be going back to intermediates. I do not know what's happening here at COTA. No one really knows what's going on anymore. It might be worth staying out on Inters, but it depends how long the safety car is out. Everyone is on alternate strategies. I've put both cars back onto full wet. What on earth is going on? The safety car's ended and we're nowhere near the queue. It's just told me it's ended and it's already come in. This is just a nightmare here at COTA. Now neither of our cars are anywhere near the rest of the field. I am lost for words. We've got half the cars still on full wets, half of them on Inters. The track is meant to get drier again for pretty much the next, 15, 20 laps or so. And then it's meant to get fully wet again before maybe dropping back down to intermediates. I mean, now all we've got to do, Leclerc and Sainz have just got to push on here and try and use this car's pace, but this is just carnage. Albon's now back into the pit lane, so Leclerc might get re-promoted into P16. But how little luck do I get in these changeable conditions Grand Prix? So here we go. Carlos Sainz then, as we get towards half distance, trying to look around the outside of Lance Stroll up towards turn 1. Not quite going to be able to pull it off this time. But this is just chaos. And here we go. Up the inside then of Carlos Sainz as we head down. Of Lance Stroll even as we head down the inside into Sector 3 there. We have now pulled off the move though. We've still got both AlphaTauris, both McLarens and Latifi all on the full wet, but the track is getting drier again, so we've just got to hope this Ferrari car is still fast, and that we can at least close up to points. It's gone from wanting to try and win to just complete damage limitation. What we could really do with is another safety car. Right, sit rep. Track's starting to get wetter again as we cross over lap 30 here. Sainz is back up into P13. Yuki Tsunoda is still stuck on those full wet tyres here, and you can just see immediately the grip that Sainz has got. Up the inside of Yuki Tsunoda he goes, back up into P12 then off the race. It's going to be a case of when, not if, he moves past the other AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly. But yeah, rain is meant to gradually slope off again. Now, I don't know what's going on in this race. It's going to be sort of the mid-lap 40s. I'm going to have to try and make a call back onto full wets again. Maybe. I don't know anymore what's going on. Ah! Track conditions have changed to wet again. It's... Right, am I reading this wrong? Seriously. Track conditions, track grip is meant to pretty much stay the same there. Track water is currently meant to be at the lowest it's meant to go late on in this Grand Prix. Now it's up to here again, but it's meant to tail off, so surely it's not worth boxing once more. Surely I can make the right call in this Grand Prix at some point. Looks like no one else is. It's just Alonso that's coming, and the rain is already tapering off. This is impossible. Right, well now we're stuck behind Sebastian Vettel in this Grand Prix, who's on a set of full wet tyres there, but I mean, we've got Alonso a bit further up the road as well, but track is definitely not wet enough, so we have, for once in this Grand Prix, made the right call. I'm going to get both drivers just to go a bit more aggressive, but can Sainz, after all the chaos so far today, bump himself back up into the points, of course? He's got a huge opportunity this weekend with Leclerc down in P15 to try and take out some championship points, but this has just been impossible to try and predict there. F1 Manager is still a brutal, brutal game even at the best of times, and apparently I still don't quite know what I'm doing, as both Mercs for some reason have bolted on a fresh set of Inters. Maybe we'll see both Red Bulls do that as well, and it could just bring us closer. What I could really do with is a safety car inside the final sort of 10-15 laps. Right, so sit rep, lap 40 of 56 here. The tyres are starting to fall off, but I'm waiting desperately for this next big deluge to arrive, and then we're going to bolt on a set of wet tyres to hopefully see us through to the checkered flag there. We have brought both cars a whole lot further up the order again, just by sitting out here. You can see, though, they've still both done... I mean, Sainz has done 4 stops, Leclerc's done 5 in this Grand Prix, whereas other cars have done 3 or 4. So we're not too far out of it, but we've certainly not done those pit stops at optimal times. We've just got to keep getting on with it. Right, here we go then. Lap 41, 1 lap later, we're going to box. We are going to box onto full wet tyres again, late on in the Grand Prix here. It's worth it. I believe it's worth it. The track is meant to get a whole lot wetter for a whole lot longer here. Track grip is meant to go down. Surely I'm reading all this correctly. It's just going to be the final couple of laps. Things might be a bit tough, but there we go. Verstappen and Hamilton both into the pit lane as well. So this might actually be the right call here, as Leclerc now has bumped himself back up into the top 10 as well of this Grand Prix there. So a lot of cars that have just recently had to box, you know, the likes of your Alonso's, your Tsunodas, your Strolls, have been really screwed by this one. But for this, I mean, 5-6 stop races, they're not common in Formula 1, and we're getting 2 of them in a row. Perez is staying out there for now. He's going to probably do 1 extra lap and then come back in. But yeah, Verstappen has bolted on a set of full wets, so I think we are making the right call here, as we'll stay on board with Carlos Sainz down in towards the pit lane here at the end of lap 42. Into the pit lane comes Carlos Sainz. Fingers crossed, another nice, clean, tidy stop. But yeah, I mean, this has just been one of the weirdest races I think I've done on F1 Manager. I feel like I say that a bit too often on this game. But Sainz back onto full wets then to see him hopefully home to the checkered flag there. Leclerc out into the pit lane as well. He will momentarily dip back outside of the top 10 there, but I don't think it's going to be for all too long. As are we going to get another nice, clean, tidy stop. 2.3 for Charles Leclerc, so clearly the team is still favouring him, but we've just got to try and push on. There's still more places to be had. So very, very briefly then, 10 laps to go. Max Verstappen has boxed again onto intermediate tyres there, but it's not been the right call for the Mercedes. For the Red Bull even. Track conditions now back up to full wet. Hamilton now leads the Grand Prix here at Kota once more, but surely it's just going to continue to rain towards the end of this race, and Verstappen has done that wrong. He's just going to lose out a load of time there, but hopefully, in his eyes, it will come back to him late on in the day. But at the moment, yeah, he's losing plenty of time, as we're 14 seconds behind the cars in front, but we have got both cars into the points again. Right, so here we go then, final few laps of the Grand Prix there. Now it's time, I think, to box Sainz in onto one final set of the intermediate tyres here. We're going to bring Leclerc in 1 lap prior, I think, because Leclerc is a bit earlier on the circuit, so it might not have worked out too badly for Verstappen here. Red Bull, their strategies are just on another level, apparently, at the moment. But yeah, Hamilton provisionally in the lead, but everyone now making one final, hopefully final call back onto intermediates to see him through to the checkered flag there. But where will Leclerc re-emerge? I think it's going to be out in P10 or 11. But I think Alonso and Ricciardo, no, they won't have to box again before the end of this one, and they will both be ahead of Charles Leclerc. No, they won't. He's going to be out back in P10 then of the Grand Prix, but there are still more places to be had. Right, well, 5 laps to go then of this Grand Prix, and looking on the mini-map, it seems like we've still got a couple of cars that are trying to hang out here to the checkered flag on the full wet tyres, so surely we're going to see Sainz taking a load of time out of him. He's 7-8 seconds a lap quicker. Sainz could still get a podium here. Leclerc could still get a big result as well. This race is not over, but the track is certainly getting drier. Oh, there we go. Sainz has already moved past Kevin Magnussen in this Grand Prix. Leclerc's jump show will grind you as well. There is so much going on late on in the day, but those wet tyres are just not the ones to be on at this point of the afternoon, and Leclerc swoops around the outside there. So both of our cars are making up spots towards the end of this one. But Sainz now in pursuit of George Russell. There is not long to go in this Grand Prix, but there is still a lot of opportunity. Let's look at this. George Russell, he's got nothing at all he can do to try and defend from Carlos Sainz as we head down towards the S's. All he can do is make that Mercedes as wide as possible, but with 5 laps to go, it's a pretty futile attempt there. I mean, we could still get Hamilton by the end of this race. That's how crazy things are getting at the moment. As you can just see, yeah, Hamilton, Bottas, Russell and Kevin Magnussen all on full wets here. So we could still finish 3rd and 4th in this Grand Prix, which wouldn't be the result we're after, but wouldn't be too bad of a recovery here either, as here comes Carlos Sainz, surely now, to the outside of to George Russell even, I should say, as we head out onto the back straight. Surely, come on, Carlos, you've got to make the moves happen. Flicking back over to overtake mode, as you can see, Charles Leclerc trying to make moves happen behind the scenes, as there we go. Flies past George Russell there, back up now into P5 of the race. But there is still no more rain predicted, so could we see a... surely it won't be worth boxing onto dries. Surely not, in the final couple of laps. We're going to gamble it on Charles Leclerc. We're going to bring him... Ah, no, we don't have... we've only really got one fresh set of tyres now. We're not going to box him. Abandon that. Get rid of that. I don't want to risk it late on in the day. There are 2 laps to go. I don't think he's going to have enough time to try and close up that gap once more. Hamilton might dive it in, though, to the pit lane. No, he is not. But yeah, track drying up towards the end here. But what a ridiculous race this has been here at COTA, as you can already see now. Yeah, I mean, if anyone boxes behind Leclerc, then he might be under pressure towards the end, but surely Hamilton is about to get mugged off as well. How on earth we've recovered this to where we have, I'm not quite sure, but both our cars still making moves, and we might walk away there, with Sainz now back into the podium places, and Leclerc hot on his tail. By last lap of the Grand Prix, Verstappen has boxed onto a set of dry compound tyres here, so this could be a drag race between the Red Bulls, as Verstappen heads out of the pit lane here. Sainz is way too far back, but Perez now, on the final lap of the Grand Prix, has taken the lead away from Max Verstappen. Will Verstappen be able to get close enough again on this final lap there? I'm now a bit worried about how close Hamilton's 20 seconds away from Leclerc. Could he still get him on the final lap of this GP there? But will Verstappen potentially lose out on his first race victory of the year here on the final lap? Red Bull is still yet to win a Grand Prix this season, but look at that, he's flown past Sergio Perez there on the final lap of this Grand Prix. I can only assume Hamilton is going to be trying to do the same thing as us there, so a momentary scare for Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen, as maybe, just maybe, Red Bull would have had to deal with a very, very angry Max after the Grand Prix there. But Verstappen flying, he will finally get his first win of the year on the board. We've got to monitor the gaps between Hamilton and Charles Leclerc as well late on in the day. I mean, it's still looking like a huge gap at the moment, but anything can happen in the final few laps of this Grand Prix there. I'm gutted for Kevin Magnussen. He was running like in P4, P3 all afternoon, and he's not going to walk away with a podium there. So I think that shows how weird this race has been. Vettel, Russell, and Max Verstappen on dries, inters, and full wets on the final lap of this Grand Prix there. That's just how bad this one's been. George Russell is crawling around the final few corners of the race, but Verstappen is going to hang on. He is going to win the US Grand Prix and finally put himself back on top in Formula 1 there. A fantastic drive by Red Bull all around there. How many pit stops did the Dutchman have to make? 6 pit stops for Max Verstappen today there, but he will finally walk away with his first race victory of the year. Perez will hang on to P2 there. Hamilton now is still taking time out of Charles Leclerc, so this is going to get very, very close on the final lap of the Grand Prix. George Russell will crawl home in P13 there. No major surprise. I guess Daniel Ricciardo P6 is a phenomenal result for the Australian here, but will Charles Leclerc end up getting jumped by Lewis Hamilton in the final few corners of this US Grand Prix there? The gap's still coming down. It's down to 8 seconds as he heads in towards Sector 3 here. Carlos Sainz will hang on to P3 though, and a brilliant podium for him, recovering after his grid penalties there in just, like, I know I've said it so many times, but the weirdest race I think we've ever seen in a Formula 1. I think Leclerc will just have enough to try and hang on ahead of Lewis Hamilton come the checkered flag as well, but such a weird end to the US Grand Prix. Insanity right the way through, but we still come home with a 3-4. I guess we can't be too gutted with that based on where things were looking at the midway point.
Carlos Sainz showed us some solid racing here today. Everyone involved in Formula 1 dreams of seeing their driver up there on the podium. And with that, the Sainz name remains engraved in F1 history. And after all that hard work, surely it's time for them to enjoy this moment. Ferrari must have some mixed feelings after this. They didn't do too badly, but they can definitely do better.
I agree, they have some ironing out to do, but they certainly have what it takes to get there.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
We're nearing the end of the season and it's time for some serious heat. Stay with us as Formula One moves to Mexico City.
Well, there we are then, the end of the US Grand Prix, and +7, +7, +14 for your podium finishes there. Of course, Charles Leclerc from pole doesn't get away with the race victory there. Sometimes Formula One, the F1 manager feels a bit too close to real life there, but what a bizarre and crazy race it was. Fernando Alonso got fastest lap. I'm not sure where that happened or how, but that's clearly what it was there. 6 pit stops, 7 pit stops, I think was the most anyone made today. And just absolute insanity there. But Max Verstappen takes on the doublehead of Perez, Sainz and Leclerc. The Hamilton, a valiant effort to finish P5 ahead of Alonso and Daniel Ricciardo there, with Gasly, Bottas and Lando Norris rounding out the top 10. Just Esteban Ocon that didn't make it to the checkered flag means championship-wise, Gasly jumps Ocon in still the battle of the Frenchmen. Gap at the top does come down slightly, but it's still 26 points as we've just got 3 races to go of the season there. Further down the rostrum, I think Daniel Ricciardo, with that huge points haul, brings himself much, much closer to his teammate Lando Norris. Constructors-wise, of course, we're still comfortable out front, but Alfa Romeo and Alpine, the battle we've been watching on, seems like it's going Alpine's way late on in the year there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well, and we will return very, very soon in Mexico City, round 20 of 22. You guys will not want to miss that. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.